Sunday. I am going to change, so I'm here with Ronin Wolf. He is just so cute. I'm going to change his zip tie, I think, on his neck. I've mentioned before that his head is very difficult to turn. I really have to squeeze it to move it, and I think over time that's not going to be good. But I think it also is affecting posability and stuff. Well, it definitely is affecting posability. So I'm not sure why it didn't occur to me before, but when I had him on, geez, I think it was on my Reborn game video, voting for which one of my Reborns is the most realistic. One of my viewers was kind enough to mention that I could just change the zip tie, because I said that because he didn't have a neck ring, that I thought that's why his head wouldn't turn. And she said that she had had experience like that where just changing the zip tie was fine. And it seems very obvious. But I didn't actually think that maybe the zip tie was simply too tight. I just assumed it was the neck ring thing. So I'm not going to change it on camera. I have, the first time I ever did reborn surgery was on my Ellie Sue that I used to have, and I did that on camera. But I'm not going to do it. I think it changes, I don't know, it changes something for me to see the baby with the head off and everything, and I just don't prefer to do this on camera. But I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I may put him into a long sleeve white onesie. I'm having trouble finding his plain white onesie. I'm not sure why, but because he has 3/4 arms, I think I'm going to put him in a long sleeve one for now. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pause the video here, and then we'll be back on. Oh, let me just show you. I just want to show you the difficulties I'm having so that we can do a before and after. So his head's not turning like at all right now. Just his body is twisting. Now it's turning, but you see his head's squeezed in. Boy, he's so cute. I love this doll. Okay, all right, I'm going to pause you guys, and I'm going to do that real quick, and then I'll be back. All right, guys, so we're back, and we did our surgery. I think it went well. The new zip tie is in. I'll tell you, the zip ties that I have, the head is slightly, I call it the head, the large piece of the zip tie where the skinny piece inserts is a little bit thicker, fatter than the one that's on this baby. However, the nice thing was I do clip, after I cut the zip tie, I do clip it down with fingernail clippers just to make sure there's no jagged edges, and then it tucked neatly inside the seam of the body, so that worked out well. But let's see how his head turns now. So it doesn't just turn on its own, but it turns. I was able to tuck the body nicely inside the crease of the neck, and it turns much easier. I don't have to dent his head in. So there he is. Okay, let's go ahead and put him in the long sleeve onesie, and see how he looks with that. A while ago, I was talking about the word bonding when it comes to reborns, and I did mean to revisit that, and it's certainly a topic that's talked about fairly frequently on different channels, you know, and the idea of bonding with an object, a thing, and that word bond. And I had said, you know, that I wasn't sure that word worked perfectly for me, but I wasn't really sure that there was a word that worked better. And one of my friends on here had said that she was going to start using the word attachment, and I definitely think that that's probably more accurate. The only thing it doesn't necessarily capture for people, and I think the reason we use bond is the emotional aspect, because this is mimicking a baby human. You know, there's a lot of sentimentality to it, And it also brings us back to our childhood, I think, for those of us that had dolls as kids, that super special feeling that we had for our dolls. So I have his onesie off here for a second. I just want to show you what his arms look like. He is on a 3/4, he has 3/4 arms, jointed, full legs, but I just want to show you what he looked like for those of you that don't have a 3/4 arm baby. Anyway, it makes their arms very floppy, which is nice. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, about bonding, and you know, I think I felt pretty dang bonded to Norman. Norman was my first little baby, my most affordable reborn. He was super cute, and he had painted hair, and he was actually a baby that I would feel comfortable putting in the bed next to me at night if I wanted to, sort of like sleeping with a stuffed animal. His body was, all of his pellets were loose in his body, so he was almost like a beanbag. He was very cuddly, very floppy. And I wasn't as concerned about ruining him because, of course, he didn't have hair to rip out. He didn't cost an arm and a leg. And, you know, obviously I didn't roll around on him or mistreat. You know, you still have to be careful. But I felt, I mean, he had a name, he had a personality, he was the first. I mean, and I loved him, his imperfections and all. And then I saw what else was out there, and then I just, like, I wanted more. I wanted better. And, you know, is this, you know, losing our bond with the baby? Number one, attachment seems to be much more accurate, because can you bond with something that cannot bond with you? Sorry, there was a brief interruption there, but yes. So I think what happened was with Norman was that I started to see other artwork. My vision of like what I could get for the money, or a little bit more money, kind of expanded. And to be honest with you, I feel like there's another element too. I think that we tend to love, a lot of us tend to love acquiring things even more than we love having things. And so with all sorts of purchases, not just reborn dolls, once we've had something for a little bit, you know, like the getting of it is sometimes more exciting than the having of it. And once it's not new anymore, you know, it's not really carrying that special feeling for us. And the only thing that brings that is getting something new, but also well, not really also anything. So I think that that's a big piece of it. So here's my theory, and it probably doesn't apply to everybody, and it might not apply to anybody but me. That's also quite possible. I think that I think that we aren't as excited by or don't love the doll as much anymore because we're ready for something new, not because we're not emotionally bonded to this pseudo creature anymore, but because we're ready for something different. And we use the word bond because I think maybe we use the word bond because it feels more like it's something out of our control, and a little bit more heart-filled than saying, I don't really like this doll as much anymore. I think I'd like something different or better. So that's kind of like what's vibing with me on that. I'm definitely still bonded / enjoying having this doll, by the way. But I do notice that, but the idea did come up because of me thinking about changing the zip tie on his neck to help him with his mobility and his posability. But I also noticed how I don't spend as much time with him as I did when I first got him. I think it's just a matter of managing, you know, a slightly larger collection, but also of loving every doll in my collection. But I did want to see if that helped, and I think it will help because already it's much easier for me to position him in more realistic ways where his head's not in the same position for every photo. But I gotta tell you guys, I am consistently shocked at like the lower volume of response to this doll to some of the other dolls in my collection, because I can tell you that standing here right now in front of him, he is absolutely adorable, absolutely beautiful, and sort of stunningly lifelike. He looks like he has life in him with the colors in his cheeks. He is just so cute. I'm very, very, very pleased with the dolls that I have. I'm wondering, here's a good question. Do any of you have a one that got away? Do any of you have a baby that you considered during the process of acquiring a baby that you did add to your collection that you still think about and that you kind of wish that you had gone for, even though it may inevitably mean instead of the one that you got? Now, that doesn't mean that you want to get rid of the one that you got instead. But looking back, whether you stopped because of price or you hesitated because you weren't 100% sure on some photos or something like that. I have two. I have one baby that I considered before, because I really wasn't planning to buy a baby when I got Keanu, and I justified it in my mind by selling Norman and saying he was the replacement. By the way, I hadn't mentioned before in my other video that tracked the progress of my Reborn collection. When I got Ronin, I sold Ellie Sue. She went back to the mommy I bought her from. That was my Penelope May, and if any of you are interested in Penelope May, I think that she may be up for sale. She's the Ellie Sue kit by Bonnie Brown, painted by Reborning Queen on Instagram, and she's awesome. She's awesome and she's affordable. Anyhow, I wasn't really in the market for a baby, so that's part of what made me hesitate on this other baby that I wanted. But I instantly regretted it. He sold while I was still like wishy-washy on it, and I didn't think that I could do all one payment, and it ended up turning out that I could. I hadn't really realized it. Anyway, I lost out on him, and it still haunts me. It's like one of those things that makes you go, ugh, at night. He was the Will kit by Natalie Scholl, and he was something special, just the way this Will was painted. And then before I got Brewster, and I really wasn't, this was like before all the negotiations went down for me to be able to get Brewster. So I really wasn't like, it wasn't like an agreed upon thing that I'd be adding another doll, especially an uber expensive doll. But I actually hung this baby's picture up on my wall, just sort of like, if I can manifest a miracle, I'm bringing this baby home. But I didn't. It was extremely expensive, but it was she was one of the prototypes of the Mary kit from the Mary and Mark twins, and I forget the sculptor. I don't know if it was Joanna K, Casimir Jack, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. This one baby was, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to describe how incredible this doll was, and I don't know where she went in the community, but looking back, had everything worked out slightly sooner than it did, I actually could have worked something out to purchase her, but timing was wrong. Open-eyed, utterly stunning doll. Oh my gosh. But c'est la vie. Oh, I do have one more, my dear Katie, your Malin, your Saskia, the first doll I fell in love with. Anyhow, yeah, so I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you have sort of that one that got away, and what are your thoughts on the idea of bonding versus attachment versus, you know, you just, you know, like you've gotten your fill of this thing and you're ready for a new thing, and obviously they're more than just things to us. Tell me what you think. Do you think it's a bond? Do you think it's an attachment to an object? Do you think it's, you know, getting bored and wanting something different? Can you bond with something that cannot bond back? Does bond indicate relationship? The emotional and chemical response that happens with something that like this, that elicits the response that a lifelike baby replica essentially has, allows for some very strong imagination, some imagination that probably is the closest that I could come to being a kid again. The imagination of personality and character and energy on something that is literally vinyl and polyfill and paint. And so can you bond with something that cannot bond back? Is bonding one way possible? And then if it is, again, what do you think bonding versus attachment versus, you know, just not liking something as much as you used to and wanting to get something different? And I guess if you don't think that you can bond one way with something, then what do you think it is if it's not bonding? What do you think of this guy in his white onesie? I think he looks like a dream, a little dream. Let's try turning his head back this way. Yeah, much easier. Little peanut. Super love him. Okay, that was my brief little break for the afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to get back to getting some work done here. Tomorrow is Monday, and so business opens back up for the rest of the world, which means less downtime for those of us that work 7 days a week and and also have to participate in the Monday through Friday. I hope you all had a great weekend. The weather's gorgeous here in the Chicago area. I hope it's beautiful wherever you are, whether the weather is great or not. And look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. And if you'd like to expand on this topic or have any other ideas to add, please leave those in your comments as well. If you love this guy or you love my other babies and you like chats that are pretty much ado about nothing, then please consider subscribing if you would like. And if you wouldn't like, I'm still glad that you're here to watch, and I look forward to hearing from you all, seeing your babies, and until next time, have a wonderful day, weekend, and evening, wherever you are. Bye for now.